I am. All
All
right.
right.
Now let's just start out. Hopefully we get everybody back. We will. They'll come back. They're loyal. They are loyal. Greg, thanks for bearing with us on that one.
Gosh, no
Um,
problem.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Splintered Spirits. We got our technical issues resolved, and we are no longer doing
Fixed
it.
for now.
What if you missed it and you're just joining us? Greg just told us a wonderful story about how he actually communicated with who may be the president, Abraham Lincoln, which is an outrageous story, and I can't wait to if you have that recording, you send it to me. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing to drop in. So yeah, all right. I could see that if I had communication with the president, that would sort of absolutely change the direction of the too many coincidences, right? Like there's got to be something
Okay.
you're communicating with something. You get the great recordings; they're clear. It's happening as you ask it. I always find that to be wild. Like in and of itself, that kind of thing is
Now, was
incredible.
Greg? Was this done with an SP7? Through an amp, like a portal box, or just SP7 by itself?
SB7 with a external speaker. That's it.
Okay, cool.
That's it. I've used some of that stuff before, and it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
I just have been kind of pure with it.
yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Um, all right. So now, do you still go out and actively investigate, or is it
Yeah.
more now you're talking to other people and you're doing the radio show?
So, and I think it's something that we all fall into after a while, right? That a lot of our investigations are events. And so we put on events. I work with my friend Char Savoy. We've worked on in the Midwest on doing events now for a number of years. Before I had a little event group that I still use called Parafriends Events, and we like to go to locations that aren't like where everyone goes to. We try to find new like uh, we found a Masonic lodge that no one has ever investigated before, and we did an event there. It was uh, it was a bloodbath, quite frankly, but that's okay. Most
What
everyone
is
made
it?
it out unscathed. Uh, yeah,
Sure.
I mean, honestly, the energy there was pretty nasty. Which we didn't. It wasn't when we
Wait,
went there.
from the
We went there
fans
twice
or from the
before
ghosts?
from the
Oh,
ghosts.
okay.
From the lodge itself, and it started off. We got permission from the Masons that there were because in the back room, a lot of these lodges in the back room there are multiple like paintings of George Washington, and so this one had that too. And I put one out on a table, and I put a tripwire around it, and I said first to the Mason, it's like, first of all, are you okay with this? And he's just like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, we were going to try to reach out to Washington. Are you okay with this? Yeah, but I should have known better because, they have that sword that is used for like for special events and stuff. And that was just laying out. And I said to him, you might want to put that away. And he's like, eh. So I mean, it's like, well, this is going to be great.
You mean the sword that they kneel on for
Whatever,
for for the
yeah,
for the
whatever this.
sword he's speaking about is they lay it down and they kneel on it and they do one of their rituals. That's the sword he's speaking about. Yeah, yeah.
It was just out there before everyone got there. It was just out there, and I'm just like,
Yep.
yeah, and so he's like, yeah, it could be, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna go put it away. Don't worry, I'm now a Mason. I guess I'll take care of your stuff. So yeah, but so we had this tripwire around it and spirit boxes going and stuff, and I said, same way that I tried to bring through Lincoln. I said, President Washington, we are so excited to be guests in this lodge, something like that. And I'm really good at doing radio for enough time. You're really good at doing this sort of like monologue that most people in the room are probably like, get on with it for God's sake. But I'm doing this kind of monologue, kind of bringing. I'm like, are you here? Everything in the room just blows up, and I don't mean blow up like it stops working, but it just goes off, including the tripwire, everything, and then it was just silent. It's like, well, that's interesting. But then we started getting started feeling ill, and I mean, like probably an hour or so later, people started feeling ill. A lot of people had to be like they had to leave and just sit outside for a while, and it's either something to do with spirit or natural gas or something. I don't know, but it was just like there's this episode of The Simpsons where I think it was like a trampoline or something, and they do this like shot of all the kids who are just laying in the field because they got hurt from the trampoline in the Simpsons backyard. I kind of felt that was this investigation where there's just this like line of bodies, like, well, come go to one of our events again. That'd be great. Yeah.
That's the Masons for you, dude. That's all right. It's one of those secret organizations that we don't like to talk about too much.
And I had a Mason with us too. It was always nice because he was able to kind of fill us in on stuff that we didn't know. I mean, he's a paranormal investigator, so he's all about both sides of it. So it was really nice. We also do a monthly investigation of this place. There nearby is a city, part of the Twin Cities called Anoka, that is they call it the Halloween capital of the world, and this Main Street dates back to the 1860s. And so we do in one of the buildings the second Wednesday, which is why I had to move, why I couldn't do it the night that you had requested. We do an investigation, and it's just active. It's active in a very cool way. It's a safe location. No one gets sick, no one gets hurt, everyone is fine, and we get great responses.
For now.
For now. I wonder why they call it
Fair
why do they call it the Halloween capital? What makes? I mean, I gotta say, John and I are from Westchester. We got Sleepy Hollow up in our neck of the woods. Bigger Halloween than Sleepy Hollow or Salem.
I'm not here to defend Anoka. I'm here to. All I know is that what they call themselves, and they at least in the Twin Cities. Yeah, well, hey, absolutely. let me call up the mayor now. Let's get this going.
Get this mayor on the phone. Like, how dare you? I mean, I don't know. I have doubts.
Well, I mean, I would say certainly the Halloween capital of the Twin Cities. Will you give me that?
All right. I'll give them that.
Halloween capital of Anoka. I mean, there's that too.
It's funny, man. So, Greg, do you consider yourself an intuitive?
I do.
When did that manifest, and what made you embrace it?
I think it's been with me my whole life. There are things I think that we all experience that we know that we're drawn to, that we know outcomes before they happen. We feel energies, we feel people's energies without necessarily them having a frown on their face or a smile on their face. When I got into this field of paranormal, I really didn't want to claim it in any possible way, only because I see so many people claim it and they're not, or at least they don't come across well with it, and I didn't want to be that. I hold great respect for people who are intuitives, mediums, all that stuff. But then the more and more that I was using Spirit Box, and people would ask for specific people to come through, and I could pull them through to talk with us. It wasn't going to be for hours, but you get something out of them. That's when I'm like, okay, maybe I am doing all right with this. Maybe I can connect. It doesn't mean that I necessarily need to be like, Teresa Caputo over here, but I could do it enough that I am helping people, which has always been my thing, is helping people reconnect with their loved ones, and also helping spirits connect or go home even.
All right, you guys, I want to come back to that in a second, because you said some things there that we're absolutely going to touch on. Look, I always say I think John's intuitive in some way. I mean, that's why he hates when I say it. But I mean, probably for the same reason why you didn't like to say it. But I do believe that people who get these kind of results from ITC or spirit boxes like you and like what John gets has to be because they are on a different level of somewhere and somehow, and it happens.
Well, listen, I'm not a medium. I'm a triple X. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, John, do you think that has something to do with the fact that you're using the equipment, that it feels like that that they're in like different categories, different silos? Mediumship, I used to always think that mediumship is like woo, whereas I'm using equipment and I can very much document exactly what I'm saying here. I just curious, because I think that might be where I was at.
Yeah, for the most part, I need equipment to communicate with the dead. You take the equipment away, and guess what? I'm just an average dude. I don't feel spirits. I don't. I can't be like.
That's not true. That's not what you've said. You've said you felt like you're in. That's not true. You're backpedaling.
But that's no. I'm not backpedaling.
You are.
I can't. No, I'm definitely not. Definitely not.
You have said you feels like Jello. When
everybody, tell me Gary shouldn't be like this more with the guests we have on than me, right?
I am when they
when they backpedal. 100%. Listen,
100 times.
Time out.
Time out. 100 times you feel like you're in Jello.
But that has nothing. That can be with people too.
Well,
that can be with people too.
But yes,
right. But everybody does that. I
don't feel like I'm in Jello.
Everybody has that ability. You said it yourself. You see somebody and you're like, ugh.
Yes, people get
something off about that
I
person.
I agree, but I feel like yours
I'm not
stronger.
Backpedaling.
I think yours is stronger, than most.
Everybody,
and that's why it works.
Well, but maybe that's just experience.
What do you
maybe
think,
that's
Greg?
just experience.
I couldn't possibly comment on what John feels and not feels, but
I know, but I mean, just in general, from all the people you've met, the mediums you've met, which has been a lot over the decades you've been doing this. So, what is the consensus?
I feel like that sometimes people, and I don't mean John in this, I really don't. There's people who are like, I have as many mediumships, I'm as intuitive as a rock. I hear that so often from people, and I think that some people wear that as a badge because maybe there's so many people that say they're intuitive and they want to stand out and they don't want to be that way. But I would challenge John at a point that he feels comfortable doing so, at an investigation that he feels that he can do this, is go a half an hour of it without equipment and see what you're picking up, because
that happens when everything dies. I've walked through cemeteries and locations when the spirits drain everything, and it's like, all right, guys, looks like this is what we're doing. And every now and then you'll hear disembodied voices. We'll pick up a disembodied voice here and there. For those that don't know what disembodied voice is, you don't know the source of that voice, right? It's not coming from a piece of equipment. You think it's not coming from human vocal cords. So that'll happen, right? That'll happen. That happens with the equipment on or off. But once the equipment's off, that's the most that'll happen for me.
See what I'm saying, Greg? Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but it was like, do they come to you inside your head? Do the messages come inside your head ever? Because
maybe.
But it's funny you do mention inside your head, though, because I got cedar fever, by the way. That's why I keep coughing. Cedar fever is a big thing down here in Texas, in this area that I'm at. So it's funny you mention in your head. I have noticed that some spirits have the ability to skim the top of your mind. Like, I'll be talking to people, not even talking to the spirits, and all of a sudden the spirits will say what I'm about to say before I even say it. And it's like a split second before. So the spirits are saying it, and then I'm saying it. That happens a lot. But as far as spirits communicating with me in my head, no. I never, ever, the years I've been doing this, all the time I've been doing this, never, ever felt that.
So there was, I had a psychic medium that would come on every other week, Refined Divine. Her name is Deb. She's great. And we do one question readings on the show every other Wednesday, which was also a lot of fun. And then I started finding myself, when the question would be given to her, that I could answer it. And and I kind of had to be a little bit stop beating her to the answer. First of all, that's my number one rule when I do the show is let the guest speak, not me try to interject. And then she would sometimes just be like, Greg, what are you feeling? What are you getting off of that question? And I don't really have, and I think, John, you're probably on the same wavelength that I am. I don't have aspirations to be a medium or
100%.
anything like that.
100%. Yep.
I
agree with you, Greg, 100%. I want nothing to do with it.
The chat, by the way, is against you, John. They're all saying he hears disembodied voices when we don't.
No disrespect to the chat. Spirit. The chat can hear a dog bark and they'll think it's a loved one. I'm sorry. No disrespect to the chat. But the chat can hear a dog bark and they'll think it's a loved one. So no disrespect to you guys. It's the truth.
My nephew's humble. He's got a gift. He's a witch.
I got a witch's peak.
He's
That's
got
about it.
he's a witch. All right, Greg, let's get back to our guest. Enough about your nonsense, John. It's craziness.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about me.
I don't want to talk about you either anymore. I've had it. So where do you draw the line, Greg, in terms of like, with your, because this is a question that comes up a lot in terms of the ethics, because you said you like to talk and help people. How do you balance that? How do you balance the ethics when you come across a loved one who's passed with also trying to get, great content now that you're a content creator? How do you find that line for yourself?
I think I'm lucky in the sense that I generally don't share unless I do a live spirit box session. I don't share what I pick up at investigations anymore. I just don't. And part of it is I don't have the time to go through the review of the evidence to start with. So I try, that's the other side of the ethics. If you want spirit to talk to you and you're recording them, you should be listening to what they say, because we only pick up, especially using spirit box, we're only picking up 15-20% of what's actually being said. You have to go back and listen to really hear what's being done there. But there's so many different areas of ethics. When it, I, if I have a spirit asking me cross over, I'm gonna take that as they need help, and that gets hard because there are locations that you can go to and they don't want you to cross over any spirits because they believe that that's why people come out to see them, which I understand. And so I won't, because I'm being respectful. But if I get asked, I have no choice but I can go outside their door and do it. I'm not inside, not on their property. But that does, I don't go asking for it. I used to be like, does anyone need to cross? And it's like, well, no.
Right. Where do you think so when a spirit asks, for you to cross them over, where do you feel that they're asking to be crossed to?
So I look at it, this is the way I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right. But there is, we talk about the veil. We talk about at certain times of year, the veil gets thinner, it gets thicker. That's it goes kind of between our reality and the reality, where spirits who have crossed, they are now fully fledged spirits. They're not spirits that are earth-based spirits who are still feeling like, hey, grandma still thinks that this is her house, even though she has passed away, and you're tearing down her favorite wallpaper, and they just can't let go. The belief that I've always thought is when you cross over a spirit, that helps them release some of those human touches. They don't lose the love for their loved ones. They don't lose anything, but they are able to move on and experience what else is out there that they weren't able to get to because they were so concerned about. And some might stick around because they might be parents and their kids are still around. And I don't mean like kids like my age. I mean kids like 8-10 years old. There might have been a tragic accident and they're not ready to move on because they want to keep their eye on them. That's what we run into. I've run into spirits who don't want to cross over because they're afraid what's waiting for them. They did something in their life when they were living that they think that that there is basically a judge and jury waiting for them that's going to sentence them to hell. I don't believe that. And one of the things that happens when we cross over spirits, when I cross over spirits, and I could feel it, I could see it and I can feel it. Once they're crossed, I will ask them, can you please tell me that you've crossed? Could you please tell me you're okay? And that's what comes back through Spirit Box. We've had it where we just get, thank you, I love you, crossed, I'm here, good job, stuff like that. And that's incredible.
That's a great answer, Greg, because you ask that question to a lot of people, and they'll give you the basic nilly willy, heaven. Thank you for that answer. Great perspective and
Well,
incredible answer. Thank you.
To go along with that, what do you think spirits are? Which is really the heart of what we do here. What is the spirit?
I think it's a good question. I don't know, I mean, and I've listened to you all before, and I hear you ask that question, and I dreaded you asking me that. So thank you. And it's a fair thing, and you could actually say, well, if you're doing this, you should have an idea of what they are. I think they are. I was originally going to say the essence of us, but there's so much more. They are us, but we're just moved uh from our physical bodies, obviously. The other thing is, and I don't know where I fall with all this when we talk about stuff like reincarnation. Like, okay, in my mind, I think of reincarnation that I might re-enter the system again, so to speak. But I think that I must be split because I also believe that spirits continue on as we are here right now. The essence of me continues on some way, somehow, where I'll be able to come back and visit loved ones and friends and stuff. But maybe part of me comes back as a new version of whatever my next journey is. We always hear about stuff like the contract. I don't know if you ever heard like the contract that you
No,
sign
what's
before
that?
you come back in your life,
Oh, oh,
where,
oh,
where
oh, oh. Okay.
the spirit contract, basically. And sometimes I think to myself, well, if that's true, I need to read the fine print better next time because it seems like that I think I overlooked a few of the paragraphs, but
Right.
You and me both.
Yeah,
You and me
man.
both.
Well,
Hey, Greg.
look. Let me wait, John. Hold 1 second, real quick.
Yeah.
There's usually I want to lead the witness a little bit. There's usually two camps here, right? You've got, or maybe even three, but I'm going to break it into two in a very binary way when I ask this question of what are spirits. It's either a very spiritual heaven, whether it's heaven or hell, but like holy, a soul, or it's quote unquote scientific energy, right?
yep.
It's a literal energy. Where in a binary sense, if I had to force you into one, what do you think it is? Where would you go?
Uh,
Where would you lean?
I would go more spiritual side with
Okay.
caveats,
Okay.
with lots of caveats. But the thing is, and I personally believe, once again, it might be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But I don't believe in a hell per se. I don't believe that we are sent there. I think that when we go, I think we create our own destination too when we go. Like if you have somebody who is a terrorist mass murderer or something, when they believe in their cause and they die, there may be no repercussion for them. Meanwhile, somebody who grew up with a certain faith and was told, if you steal as a child a piece of bubble gum, that's a sin and you're going to roast for that. If that person keeps that with them, then
Roast for the bubble gum.
That's
roast for
it.
the bubble gum, that might be that they create their own their own future, their own existence in the afterlife. That's what they create.
I have data and evidence to support what you just said there, Greg. I've
Really?
had spirits. Yep, I've had spirits talk about certain places like music theaters being their heaven. Other spirits talk about creating their own heaven, creating their own hells. So that
Yep.
is it's a huge possibility that that's exactly what's going on. It's amazing how much of our brain, living or dead, plays into this, right?
Absolutely. It dictates so much what we do, and
So much. Yep.
without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's interesting to hear because I just always thought it just seems, and that's why I also think that when we're talking about crossing over spirit, that some just don't want to go because people, I think, back to your question of what is spirit. I mean, I'm threatened to answer it's anything we want it to be because I kind of feel that way about paranormal. But you have people who don't understand any of that, might have been growing up in a certain religion very strictly, done something they shouldn't have, and that has marred them for life, and they don't even understand that there's a concept that you can get around that.
Well, that's why, look, when I ask people this question, they try to come up with an answer that they think's the right answer from a 30,000 foot view, as opposed to answering it from what they believe it is. Right. And
Yeah,
that's why I try to
totally.
stick with it, hit you with what do you think you're talking to? What do you
Totally.
think you're dealing with? So, and then we usually get to that place. And I find it does fall into those. Yes, there's always caveats, right? I'm bottom lining it, and it always falls into
Yep.
those two camps.
And
So,
and
hey,
don't
Greg,
Go ahead.
yeah.
let me ask you something real quick. When you're communicating with spirits, and this question got posed to me yesterday, which is why I'm asking. I'm here in Texas with Chris Netzel official, and we've been going all around Texas. And out of the blue, he just turns to me and he goes, "John, have you ever felt that some spirits feel like there are repercussions to speaking to us?"
Oh,
And I said, well, I actually have some data on that, and I have some evidence where the spirits do talk about that, like they can't speak to us.
yeah.
It's taboo in some way.
Mhm.
Have you ever come across anything similar?
Yes and no. I think one thing that comes to mind quite a bit too is that sometimes I don't know if you ever come across, John, like a gatekeeper at a
Yes, I
location.
was about to say almost like a gatekeep. Yep, yep.
Yep.
Almost like
And
gatekeeping. Yep.
Walk me
and
through that,
we
boys. What's it? What do you mean by gatekeeping?
so basically, if you think of it like a mob in a sense, that there is going to be one spirit there that kind of controls everything in a location, everything. So these are going to be spirits that have not, this is my definition, doesn't mean that it's the correct one, but this is how I see it. Spirits that have not crossed over. They are either they're planted in this location for any number of reasons. One might be this omnipresent, more powerful being that's there. It could just even be a spirit that's kind of controlling everything, controlling everyone, controlling who they're allowing to talk to us when we go in. And I ran across that in a number of places, but one of the most recent ones was the Beatty Mansion over in what are they, Missouri, Kansas, one of the two. You get to so many places you don't even know where stuff is anymore.
Yeah, you start losing track, right?
Yeah, and so we had it, and it's also if you're just watching us, you might be like, oh, that's an excuse for when you're not getting any responses, and you're like, I feel like there's something that's stopping them from responding. I'm sure people are like, oh, for God's sake, it's just that no one's talking to you, but you could feel it because you could feel the energy. That's what you always obviously want to do when you go into locations. You want to feel the energy around you, and when you're not getting any responses, nothing is going off, you got to be like, how is this possible? I know I could feel it with my body that there's spirits all around me. Why are they not talking to me? And sometimes it's literally that there's this one, and sometimes it could be literal, like if you're in a prison or something and you have a gang in there and the leader of the gang is just like, nope, you're not talking to these people. And that's as simple as that. And unless you can get through with them, you're probably going to have a very quiet night.
Does that
Interesting.
answer
Thank you.
your?
Did I kill the podcast? Does it
No,
mean
No,
no.
not at all.
You make
No,
us
not at all. I
think.
was just thinking because I've come across that in a different way. Never anything saying, "Hey, I am the gatekeeper." More like one spirit just being completely unruly
Yeah,
and just bogging everything down,
yeah,
right? Like, like all of a sudden you'll get a little bit, you'll hear a child come through, and then something will come through and just stop that from happening.
yeah.
And it's the same thing over and over.
My
But
answer
I've gotten a
wasn't
lot of
my answer
different
wasn't
answers with it.
literal. Yeah, my answer
Yeah,
wasn't literal. That was just more of like that's kind of what it seems like. Yeah,
that's what exactly.
I've never had to either like you will talk to no one else. It just
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is you
yeah,
get that feeling though. Can I also
yeah.
say real fast too
Yep.
the whole spiritual versus technological aspect of what spirit is. I also feel like that investigations can fall easily in one or the other as well.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to, and I'm glad you brought that
Yeah,
up because one of
definitely.
my questions for you is really, you talk about bridging this gap between, paranormal investigators that let's just again putting them in a box for a second. They're the ones who are a little more technological. They think they're scientific. For some of them, really are. Some of them hope to be, but they always
Yeah.
consider themselves a science-based front, right? Versus mediums. Uh, how do you want to bridge that gap, and how far should you push it one way or the other?
I think that one of the things is that understanding that mediumship and paranormal, like going on investigations, there really isn't any difference between the two because both sides are trying to reach out to spirit. The mediums tend to be in a, I mean, I've never run into a medium who is just like, well, I think I can reach out to someone. They're pretty confident about it. And paranormal investigators, they are either in going on investigations, they're either confident about it, or they're also, which in the way that I investigate, you know, you get some investigators who go into a location, and what they're hoping to do is have something happen that helps them put something to help them understand that there is something more out there. Like there's investigators who they don't necessarily believe, they want to believe, but they need more than just a you know, something coming through a spirit box. And I appreciate that and I respect that. Where I'm just like, you know, can someone come and talk to me, and there's like a bee that lands on the window, it's like, ooh, what's that? You know, I'm not ruling that out, because I tend to investigate more with my heart than with just the equipment, where because I come from a standpoint is I know spirits exist. I've spoken to them. The stuff I've seen over the years. I don't need the scientific sort of run through for me to accept that. But that's my own journey, and it's not theirs.
What then is for Ghostbox Radio and this podcast and these interviews and this years and years of talking to people that you've had? What is your ultimate goal for that? What do you want people to get out of it, and what's the direction of it for you?
I
What have
want
you learned
people
from
to.
it? Like, I'm just, I'm very curious. Like, what's your path for it?
My path for it is I want people to understand what paranormal is, what they and have them come to that conclusion themselves. And so my role with the radio show is to bring forth concept ideas, people that will help them understand that it's and this has kind of been my mantra of late. It goes beyond the shows. It goes beyond the celebrities. What this is that there's a great deal of of uh, of stuff out there and energies that you can use that not only will connect you with spirits, it'll connect you with Bigfoot, it'll connect you with aliens. At this, I can tell you with absolute certainty, because I've experienced all of it. And this is the stuff that you know, it's not going into the woods with guns and stuff. It's literally thinking of everything as energy. And if I could help people understand that a little bit more, at least understand where I'm coming from with it, that would be great. I don't know if I have any personal aspirations when it comes to spirit world, because I've had so many great experiences already.
Has anything or anybody you've ever met changed the track you were on? Like you were thinking one way and then you met somebody and it made you pivot?
I don't know. Once I realized that I wanted to help people and spirits, and that was the big thing: help people and spirits. Because going to an investigation, it's always like you're a negotiator. If you're doing private investigations, like you got these people who need help, but we can't just be like exterminators when it comes to spirits. We have to kind of figure out how can we help them, and also help them understand why maybe this isn't going to work, and explain to them how this is these people's houses now, or whatever, come to some kind of agreement with it. What I've found over time is that like energy attracts like energy. So over my time doing this, I've befriended a lot of people, and we all seem to have the very same sort of belief system, how we want to approach it, how we want to do it. This goes way back very early on for me. I was on an investigation, one of the first ones I ever did with like anyone in the community in the Twin Cities. And I was with another team, and I had my spirit box going. It's so funny because everyone's like, back then everyone's just like, we don't use spirit box. No one uses it. Why are you using whatever? Sure enough, though, I'll come out there and like, can you use spirit box? Yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm using Spirit Box, and some guy from another team, he just starts yelling towards the box, like, "Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to me?" And I looked at him and like, nobody wants to talk to you. I don't know why you're even saying that. Because he saw it on a TV show, because I know exactly who he's trying to emulate there, and that was where I kind of decided my mantra for anything Ghost Box was this isn't our story, this is their story, and they being our clients and the spirits. And everyone who I've worked with has always been in line with that, and not because of me, and maybe some because of me a little bit, who knows,
Right.
but more so because of we are all thinking the same thing.
With what you just said, you brought up a really good and interesting point here about, you're with somebody and they behaved a certain way based on what they probably saw in the media. What what do you think the future of paranormal media is? I mean, look, the TV, legacy television is on its way out. We've got a
Yeah.
few shows there that are still left with a few people that are big names and they're still doing their thing and they have, I don't knock anybody. They got great fans and there's things that, and I know people that make those shows, right? So that's
Right.
and I know what they're doing and how they're going about it. But now we've got social media where it's short form programming and podcasting is getting bigger. Where do you fit? Where do you see yourself fitting in? And where do you see what are they going to be doing right? What do you want them to be doing? How is this all playing into what you believe is the proper way to investigate and where it's going?
Oh, it's a hard question because I have a very cynical view. First of all, I'm not
That's
going to
fine.
lie. My view is very cynical on mainstream paranormal because I just see so many people asking for money. I see so many people who, and I mean, people who are known, people who are somewhat known. And I get it, times are tough, but there's people who have been doing it long enough where they can't get a dare I say a real job. I mean that they're so embedded into this now. It's really tough for them. I feel like sometimes I want to scream, go into a Paracon and scream at people that this isn't the only way paranormal works. There's so many people who do like the extreme experiences and stuff, and I understand. I mean, I've been through all that in my own way, thinking that that's the way it should be. I don't think that's the way it should be now. But then again, that's just my opinion. And I have to learn that my opinion is not a fact.
Yeah,
That
but
if
I want
people
your
are
opinion. I want to hear what
no,
I
but
want to hear. I want to hear your direction. What is the way we should be doing it?
but I am always a kind of middle of the road kind of guy. So even when I'm saying something that it's like, I get annoyed by this, part of me is also like, I also know that that doesn't apply to everybody. That's the problem with being so down the center as I often am with almost everything. But I don't like paracons because paranormal investigators, they tend to think that they become celebrities at these things. And I understand it's great to be recognized, and it's great to be, like, oh, what you do is cool. I get all that, but you go to some people's Facebook pages and you're like, come on, just lose the ego. Come on, and it's
It's
part of me is
unfortunately a necessary evil, right? Because there's
well, I was
no
just gonna
other
say
way.
there's hypocrisy of what I'm saying
Yeah,
because I'm making money off my radio show.
right.
you know and I just that's the thing about it, and everyone has a right. If they can get to a certain place and they can make money off of it, they should. I just hope that it's not about I sound like a dad or something. I hope that they're
It's
they're
about
showing
finding a balance.
the
That's.
balance.
It sounds like that's what you're
Well,
getting. It's about,
I was gonna say, John, he's right, but it's like also I think what Greg said at the beginning about himself, where not to psychoanalyze you because I'm not qualified to do that, but when you said you had imposter syndrome, I think it's almost like you feel bad that you're making money off this, where it's like, and I would say to you, Greg, don't. You've been doing this a long time. You're good at it. There is no shame in making a living doing it and having people pay you to do it. This
there's
is
no
what you
shame in
do.
fueling your passion, Greg.
And it's like this is how this
No
is what
shame in it
you know what I
whatsoever.
mean. Like this feels like
Yeah,
a part of the imposter syndrome for you. It's like I've been listening to a lot of your shows before. When I to come on, it's like you have great guests, you have a great rapport with them. It's very casual, it's very smooth, and people feel really safe with you. It's really nice. You should be paid for it, and you should make money off it. And I would say that's the way it goes. It's why should anybody do something they're good at for free? You know, anyway. That's just my thoughts on it.
There's also a lot of people who want to come on the show, and I won't allow them because I don't like them. You know, I just, you know, there's just.
Well, it's your show, right?
Well, and the thing, I have to like and believe what they're doing to have them on, because like you said, Gary, this is a safe place. It always has been. It always will be. And to do that, I have to believe in what you're doing.
Wait, I want to know who he doesn't like. Who don't you like, dude? Can you tell us?
Well, you could see actually, it's pretty simple. You know, like one of the things I've been railing against, quite honestly, is the whole Jason Haas Conjuring House. I mean, I've been very open about it on the show, and to be very clear, it's not about anything other than, like, you spend your money how you want to. First of all, if you decide that you want to put money into helping Jason Haas buy a house, you are more than welcome to do so. That is your prerogative. What I would ask people who do that is to please don't forget about the local establishments, that they don't have a Jason Haas advocating for them in their corner. You know, those, and there's a lot of them out there. And you know, I good for Jason using his stardom and a celebrity, and he's a good guy. I mean, I've met him. I think he's a really nice guy. Please, folks, there's more than just that's on the TV shows or the TV celebrities. You know, broaden your mind a little bit. That's why I don't have people who are celebrities like that on my show, because I want to bring in people that may not get the exposure that they deserve as well. So, you know,
I hear you. That's
Respectable.
That's a respectful. I get your point. For full disclosure, for us, we would love to have Jason Haas on the show. We've asked him. Yeah. He's actually said he would do it, but then we never heard from him again. I think the phrase is got ghosted. We did have Andrea Perrin on, and we did promote her. Look,
incredible woman. What a beautiful soul.
And you know, she's this purchase is something she was for, so we certainly promoted it for her.
Yeah.
You know, and that's interesting. You know, I would love to. Look, by the time I would get him on, this whole thing might be done. I don't really know the ins and outs. I think the problem is I think the biggest problem with this whole ghost house purchase thing is that he can't explain it thoroughly for whatever legal reasons he's embedded with. Because I don't understand why it was a GoFundMe and not a Kickstarter. Other than speed, I'd love to know why that is. It's very strange to me to just ask people for money to do something for yourself, as opposed to a Kickstarter where then people
isn't that, Gary, isn't that the whole thing, right? Like, my whole thing is this: when the dust falls with that entire situation, we will see the end result. And if the end result, and you know, maybe I'm speaking out of pocket, but if the end result is an affordable investigations for the paranormal community, then we got our answer. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. Like, if your average Joe, if your average guy that wants to investigate the paranormal can't go in there affordably.
Well, I just think, I mean, that's all fine and good. What the end result is, I'm just saying, I'm talking about we're at the beginning, and it's unclear the impetus of those things. And also, I think at the end of the day, whoever spends the most money is going to get it. And I just think that probably,
of course,
I think it's Elton Castee and Matt Rife have more money, and they're going to probably wind up getting it. I mean, I can't imagine they wouldn't. And they own the other house, and they'll just make it one big Conjuring universe, which is, you know, who gives a shit? Because there's, but it's like, I don't care. More power to them. It's like, you know, again, this is what they're into. They have this whole brand for it, and if they buy it, that's their business. I don't care. And even if Jason gets the house and he decides to rank up the charges on it, then it's like people will get mad at him. But it's like, all right, well, what'd you think he was going to do? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like he just bought a business, so it's like that's fine.
Well, we bought a business for him.
Well,
You know,
I
I
didn't.
mean,
Get, I
that's
didn't.
the thing.
You know,
I didn't support it, but I mean, but that's where, and kind of what you were saying, Gary, earlier. And I know that we're veering widely off topic, and I
no,
apologize.
no, it's all right. It's
No,
not
oh,
because
Greg, we
no.
asked.
This
You're
is
good,
exact.
man.
I asked, and this is exactly
Yeah.
on topic because I want to know how
But-
you've been doing this for so long, and it's interesting when you're as a host. So no, it's not.
Well, and so like the thing is, it's like part of me is like, you know, I don't think Jason's scraping like any quarters together. I mean, I think he's doing pretty well. Why do we need to turn this into any kind of crowdfunding of any kind? That's I never understood that, and I don't know Jason's finances. I obviously
Me neither.
don't, but
That's why
but
I think
you
that's
know,
why that's why I don't go up against it, right? I don't
right.
understand, and I don't think he can fully explain, which puts him probably in an awkward position to have to eat the shit from people who are slamming him because
Yep.
he can't speak to the real why was this the best method to go about this to achieve this goal unless
Well,
and that this is me giving the man the benefit of the doubt as not being
yeah.
somebody who's nefarious, who's like
No.
twisting his mustache saying I'm going to do it this way so I can spend my own money less. I mean, I'm
I mean, he
assuming
is
he's
still a
not that
plumber,
guy.
right?
Yeah,
He's still a plumber.
yeah,
You
he's
know,
still
maybe this is as simple as, hey, listen, he was out of the game for a while. He stuck to his roots. He still did his Roto-Rooter. I think that's the company he works for, the
yeah.
Yeah.
Roto-Rooter.
Roto-Rooter.
You
Yep.
know, he's still doing that. And now all of a sudden somebody comes and pleads to him, hey, listen, I want to preserve this place. And he's like, all right, I got to do what I got to do. We don't
Yeah,
know
that's what
his
I'm saying.
finances.
We
We
can't.
don't know
We'll never know. Like we'll never know the
never
truth
know.
until maybe later. But it's like who knows? But that's why I give
Well,
the guy the benefit of the doubt. I've
and
refrained from saying like being one of the negative,
yeah,
super
I
and
negative
just
on
hope
him.
that when the dust falls, the average guy can go, average man or woman, and everything in between, can go and check that place out.
I think we're moving away from that in general, not just with the Matt Rifes or Condre. I think there is enough bigger paranormal businesses that are taking on locations that are that are going to eventually make things a little bit more higher price because they're seeing what's going on around the market. I mean, Lizzie
We're
Borden's house
already
is
seeing that, Greg. You're right. We're
Yeah,
already seeing that.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Lizzie Borden's house got even more expensive, and that was already expensive. So, and it's just kind of like, but I mean, it's what it is. I mean, that's
So it's
just
supply
at
and
the end of
demand
the
too,
day.
though, right, guys? I mean, it's like
Yeah,
when the UFO thing sort of boomed with the government releasing information, all of paranormal, all ships rise with the tide, and everything paranormal sort of got back into the heat of things, and in the public eye. And then sure, prices are going to go up, man. People are going to want to see these things and want to go with them. But I think the real point is, Greg, ask people for money or like up your charges, up those ad rates, bro. Make that money. You're good at this.
I'm
Go for it.
I'm
Don't
I'm
be
at
ashamed of it.
I'm at the corner of streets every day with a little hat on the sidewalk. That's kind of how I've been doing
Yeah.
it with a little guitar. So,
Hey, listen, you got to fuel that
and I don't know how
passion,
to play
right?
guitar. So,
Greg, what would be your advice then for people, who are new and coming into this world now with the media as it is, with what they have access to? Because look, let's face it, right? The gateway to entry is much easier, right? Anybody
yep.
can go out and do it. Most people are going out. There's a lot of people going out there and doing it. So what would be your advice to them to either for not only success, but for credibility?
I think obviously open mind. When it comes to the media, enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with watching the YouTube stuff or anything, but always remember that don't always take things at face value. Be skeptical. Have open mind, but still be skeptical. Don't I mean, if I'm telling people that I have Mary Todd Lincoln on my spirit box, push back if you don't believe it. You know what I mean? You make sure that you are, being true to what you're feeling about certain situations. But I'd also just remember that don't be rigid either in what you're thinking. That I firmly believe that there aren't rules in the paranormal when it comes to even orbs of all things. Just be open-minded and have fun with it.
The big orb controversy. Who are you? Are you watching anybody that you're having fun watching that you think are just doing something different out there?
Not really, no. Part of it too is I'm just so over it, and like I said, I come from a background of television editing, so I can see the edits pretty easy when they try to present something as linear, and you're like, nope, that's not linear. That's not linear at all. Gary, I would suspect you do the same thing, that you could see it pretty quickly too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, and I know, so I don't, it's it doesn't bother me unless it takes me out of the story, right? Like I'm watching, like there's a guy, you probably have seen him, and we're gonna have him on soon, who I absolutely love. His name's Jake Bruce. He's like
Oh yeah.
he makes me laugh hysterically. He like goes into the house and he blasts music at the
Wow.
spirits. I mean, listen, I don't give a what anybody thinks. It's something different. It is a
Yeah.
different, just like when John started cleaning headstones. It is a
Great.
new way to go about doing something we haven't seen before. It is the most fun thing. He'll get every now and again. Sometimes he doesn't get anything. Every now and again, he gets something that's wild, and it is so fun to watch. I find it
And so
like a disruptor. He's a disruptor to the mainstream, right?
it's
And
so respectful too.
and it plays into the medium in which he is, a part of, right? Into these short form vertical media. He's like, to me, he's working.
Yeah, it's him and his brother.
Yeah.
Jake and
And
Noah.
they
Yep,
do
yep, yep.
now they think they do separate things, but it's like
They do separate things. Yep.
but they are, like, to me that was different. That stood out to me like, oh my God, right away. Like that's the kind of thing that attracts me to this. And I'm all new to this, right? I've been doing it now for a little over a year. So it's always very new. Like when we met like Monique Too Soon, right? The drag queen
yeah.
ghost hunter.
It's great.
She's amazing. And she
Yeah.
goes in and it really speaks to this energy of, she's putting everybody up in everybody's energy. And does that have an effect in the room that she's in? And like that to me is super interesting, right? So I think
Well,
there's there people out there that are doing things that are cool that I enjoy sort of checking out.
Well, and the thing with her is that there's not going to be a lot of people who are going to see that and be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that." I mean, and that's
Yeah.
the big part about it. One of my bane of my existence, especially at events, is the Estes method. I am not a fan of it whatsoever, and I think you have to really trust the people you're with to do it. I think doing it with strangers is not a great idea, personally. I mean, we just did an investigation last Thursday, and this one of the people who came to the investigation, and me being as hospitable and kind as I am always, she's like, "Oh, I brought stuff for the Estes method," and I just like vomited on the spot. And she's like, and rightly so, and I shouldn't have done that, quite frankly. And she's just like, "Why don't you like the Estes method?" And I said, "Because every single time we're in an area and we're not getting a lot of hits on Spirit Box or anything, and you put on, someone does the whole thing for the Estes, sure enough, you're going to either start getting a lot of swearing that suddenly is coming through that wasn't coming through before, demonic stuff, all this stuff." And it's like, I'm not necessarily saying that people are lying, but it just seems very suspect.
Did
that
you see?
that
Did
stuff
you
is
happen to
coming
see
through.
our thing? We did a group Estes method. Did you know? Did you?
I hadn't
I
seen that. I'll have to
oh,
check that out.
all right. So
Yeah.
here's
Oh,
what
it's
we did.
wild. It's
So
cool.
we got the guys who do silent disco, silence activations, they sort of helped us
Yeah.
out. So they gave us all those headphones that are all linked, and we plugged in a couple of the apps, and we changed up various apps to it. And we had about 15 to 20 people to start, and then when we actually started rolling, about half of them quit, didn't want to do it, and then one person left in the middle of it. So we had about 10 people to do it. And what we discovered, which is amazing. So first of all, we learned what we did wrong when we were doing it. One, sometimes people could
Guys,
hear,
I'm sorry to cut you off. I have to go. I was supposed to go like 20 minutes ago.
oh, okay.
Hey, Greg, listen. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Greg's going to get time with you. Everybody, John is going to be on Ghostbox Radio in the
Cool.
near future. We're going to hook that
Can't
up.
wait.
Very
I
neat.
cannot wait. Greg, thank you so much. And I agree what you said about the S's, by the way. That's why it took me almost 5 years to do the S's method, because I refused. I didn't trust anybody. But
Right.
Greg, again, thank you so much. Gary, I'll talk to you soon.
All
I'll
right,
see
dude.
you guys later.
Let it finish
Okay.
uploading before you quit it, but you know how to do it. Anyway, so Greg, what we discovered, right, is one, when people are sitting next to each other, you'll get a couple of delayed yells, so they could still hear the person next to them yelling. So we really next time would try to isolate as much individually as we can. Two, people hear what they want to hear, right? So some people would hear their own name, right? So like a lot of people hear their own name. And especially like some of these people went by handles, like from, because there are a lot of John's mods that he invited. It was one of his mod parties.
Sure.
And so that was fascinating. But when it did connect, when there was direct Q&A in unison, that was really weird and wild.
I believe it.
To happen.
I believe it.
So we had a lot of fun doing it. We called it, it's our group Estes Method episode, and it was really, we want to do it again, and hopefully we'll get more and more people. Like I'd love to do it I'd love to do it. If I had Mr. Beast's money, I would do it with 1,000 people and see, and ice them in, in cubes with 1,000 different cameras and mics on everybody individually to really do it. But at least we did it first and we tried to do it. I'm enjoying this world, right? And I got into it through John, and I'm fascinated. Some people call me a skeptic, and there's a nuance to it. I'm not. I ask a lot of questions, and people sometimes get bent. But it's more his experience, and I'm the novice more so than the believer and the skeptic. And I describe it, to people. It's like, if a kid asks you a question like, "Why are you doing this?" You're going to answer them. It's like, "Oh, I do it like this because of this." But when an adult asks you a question, "Why are you doing this?" They think they put their guard up. Like they think I'm going to dunk on them or something. I'm like, no, dude, I don't understand it. And I really want you to explain it to me why you do certain things,
No, I get it.
But, Greg, I want to thank you for your time. I mean, this is really great. I love having an experienced, not only investigator, but media host and podcaster and radio host on here. It's very fun watching the show. Everybody, and we're going to put up links to, Ghostbox Radio. It'll be in the link tree in my bio right after this airs. We're going to redrop this episode tomorrow. It'll be nice and clean without the echo in the beginning. It'll be nice and smooth wherever podcasts are, with more links to Ghostbox Radio. So please check it out. Follow Greg wherever you can follow him. I had a lot of fun. It was really interesting, dude. I hope you did too. I hope it was good.
It was great. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
All right, my man. Thank you so much. And everybody, we're going to say goodbye to Greg. Be kind. And give him a follow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Everybody, thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, please, if you're watching on Standard Paranormal, jump over to Splintered Spirits and give us a like and a follow. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to give us a like. We really appreciate you. Everywhere podcasts are available: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Head on over, comment, like, subscribe. Until